On April 7th, 2026, I will be investing another £6,500 into the stock market. In fact, I know exactly when, where and how I will be investing for the next 12 months. I'm not going to gatekeep, so here is the exact plan. Starting in April, I will invest a lump sum of £6,500, followed by at least £200 extra each and every month. If things go well with my business and this YouTube channel, then that amount might increase, but that's what I have budgeted for now. The money that I invest will all be used to buy shares in the ACWI ETF, which is a globally diversified fund, through a platform called Trading 212 and specifically within their stocks and shares ISA account. I'm not saying this so that you can just copy me. You can, of course, if you want to, but please bear in mind that this investment choice won't be suitable for everyone. Also, I'm not a financial advisor, and so this isn't financial advice. Your money is at risk when you invest. The reason I'm sharing my own investment plan with you is so that you can see a real-world example. On top of that, it gives me an excuse to document the returns along the way. I'll be posting weekly updates where I talk about my thoughts on investing, and so that you can see the highs and the lows, because even if you haven't started investing just yet, I think there's a lot to learn through seeing how someone reacts in the moment and without the benefit of hindsight. Just so that you know, I also do have a website that has the option to book a call if you want to talk to me directly about your finances or investment plans. So hi, my name is Ruth. I've been investing for more than 5 years and I've built up a lot of experience and confidence during that time. My first investment ever was £20 and I actually asked if I could have the money back afterwards. Not the best initial reaction at all, and this was even after a lot of time spent researching and knowing the facts. The significance of that story is that just as with driving a car, the real learning comes after you think you know what you need to. Sure, you can work really hard to learn the theory and take many driving lessons. You try the final test and maybe fail your first time. If your experience was anything like mine, you got told in the waiting room that the examiner's nickname is the Undertaker, and that filled you with absolute dread that they were going to be a very stern kind of person. After that failure, I picked myself back up and went in for the test again and again until I eventually came out victorious. As you can tell, I wasn't a natural driver, but having gone through all that effort, I might have felt confident that I could drive anywhere. However, going from that to then commuting daily on the M25 near London was yet another steep learning curve. The point of that story is to say that the stages to learning or acquiring any new skill can often take longer or include more steps than we might initially realise. Many of us remain ignorant for our entire lives about skills we'll never possess. This is definitely true of investing because only 16% of UK adults even have a stocks and shares ISA. The good news is that if you're here and you know about an individual savings account, you've already beaten the odds. The bad news is that you might not yet be competent at investing, and I'm here to say that that is okay. Back in 2020, I had done the research, and after watching all of Damien Talks Money's videos, I knew investing was my answer to building significant wealth. Even after all that, I was still far away from the person I am today. In my first year, I had invested just £240. Such a small amount is hardly a drop in the ocean towards what I'd need to make a big financial impact on my life. But the importance of that first year wasn't about the numbers or how much I'd invested. It was about the consistency and dedication it takes to keep adding month after month into my investments and resisting any urge to sell or to meddle with the portfolio in the meantime. By investing just £20 a month for 12 months, it proved I had the staying power to stick with it, and after that first year, I had a huge turnaround and started investing way more and also way more confidently. After that initial £240, I jumped up to investing hundreds of pounds every single month, year after year, and by the end of it, I had over £50,000 built up in my stocks and shares ISA. The compounding effects had started and I was leaps and bounds ahead of where I began. By then, my investments in my stocks and shares ISAs were up by over £9,000 with an average annual return of 16.8%. And to top it all off, the difference now is that I have the discipline built up to where I can avoid having to overthink my investments. I know what works for me, what I enjoy and what I don't. I personally am not too bothered about keeping up with the latest industry trends or political news. Honestly, it annoys me too much. I also don't like having multiple funds in my portfolio because it can lead me into my own trap of indecision, which is something that I personally do struggle with. So now that I've put the time and got past the so-called valley of despair, which is when you lose confidence because you've actually started your journey of learning, but now that I'm on the other side of that, things are so much clearer and easier, and I don't fear the possibility of a crash and my investments losing their value temporarily because I've made peace with it. The main thing that stops most people becoming a competent investor isn't what you think it is. It's not that you need to learn the winning investment strategy in order to beat the market. Most people, even after knowing the facts, still haven't got the skills to invest competently. That's just something that builds up over time and with enough reps under your belt. By now, I've invested money dozens of times over many years. During the second year that I invested after finding my feet, I started investing a lot more, but then I had the challenge of dealing with a falling market. My account was losing value month after month. It took a year to get out of the red, and at its worst, I think it was down by around 15%, and it was upsetting, it was demotivating, and if I'm honest, I wasn't totally sure on what to do. I was going through this alone because I didn't have anyone else in my life who was investing or an experienced investor. Luckily, I did the most important thing I had learned from year one, and I held firm. I stuck to my strategy and I didn't sell anything. Sure, there's a certain level of information, a baseline if you will, that you should be starting with. That's ground that can usually be covered pretty quickly, even within a couple of hours, especially if you have someone that you can trust to talk you through it in an impartial way. Just be sure not to ask that guy you know who's only just opened a day trading account and is using Grok to find their stocks. Find someone who has been going for years. Maybe they don't talk about investing very often, but you know they've done pretty well out of it, and see what wisdom they have to share. And if no one springs to mind, you can always find me on my website at the link below. If there's one thing I want to leave as the message for this week's video, it's that investing is a marathon and not a sprint. Don't come into this with itchy feet thinking that you're going to handle everything perfectly within the first few months. Even the process of learning how to invest can take time, but it's a skill that very few people in our society possess. Therefore, wouldn't it be odd to assume it's something that can take hold with zero effort and zero challenges on our part? It's 100% doable, the payoff long term very much worth the struggle, and you can do this if you put your mind to it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.